Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video explaining why I don't really have any interest in getting the Switch 2, at least not for a while. It's not even necessarily that the price is a bit high, and I think a lot of us are kind of aware about a lot of the kind of global economic factors that are pushing this system into the higher price range. From my perspective, it has to do with just a lack of really quality titles and anything that really separates this from what I have already, which is I still have the Switch that came out in 2017, and it's been fine. And I haven't even gotten through a lot of the games and possibilities in terms of what I can do with that system. Really, the only thing that would be pushing me to buy this at launch would be the new Mario Kart, which, to be fair, that is a great thing to launch with. A lot of people are really excited for that. I would love to play that game. I just don't think it's really worth it. If you're, going to buy a Nintendo Switch, if you don't have one, it's probably best to try to get the Switch 2, but that is going to be, very difficult. But I do want to point out that at the current time, because of the anticipation of this launch, and because of that lack of willingness to want to buy an original Switch, there's actually some pretty good deals going on right now in terms of the original Switch, right? So, here's a Mario Kart 8 bundle. It's the original Switch, but it's like $260. That's pretty good. Again, it's not the new one, but if you don't have a Switch and you're not able to get your hands on a Switch 2 and you don't really care about the new launches, but you do want to get the whole Switch library, honestly, not that bad. Here's a bundle. I mean, this is a bid, but here's one with apparently a bunch of controllers and it looks like a decent amount of games, right? So it's a good buyer's market for the original Switch right now. Yeah, I mean, this is a really solid collection, and it comes with an SD card. I think that if you really want to get this system and you know that this is something that you don't want to miss out on, you probably do want to try to get this as early as you can. I think there is a strong possibility of scalping. It might be a situation, both due to tariffs and possible supply chain issues, that there might be an extreme amount of scarcity of this item within its first couple years of launch. But there is also another possibility that it doesn't actually do all that well. But if it doesn't, right, Nintendo has a history of, okay, this thing was priced really high and no one seems to be buying it, so we're going to cut the price. I've seen some people speculate that that's something Nintendo might try to do here. That's what happened with the 3DS, and in that case, I think it was like a $50 to $100 price cut or something really insane like that. So there might be a situation like that here. Also, within a couple of years, as Nintendo maybe pushes out some other kind of big exclusives, like maybe a new Mario game, like a new mainline Mario game, that would be a big driver. They haven't released any news of that yet, so my suspicion is that kind of thing is probably like 2 years away. But that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I'm kind of waiting for, really just like a game that I really actually want to play and care about, along with like some kind of bundle or price drop that makes it actually seemingly like worthwhile to buy this thing when I already basically have the exact same console that's just a bit slower and can't play the like newer versions of games that they're already releasing, right? I mean, a lot of the games on the Switch, I mean, you've got a ton of stuff on the eShop. There's like Mario Party, which, I mean, I think there's already like 3 of those on the Switch, right? The Switch already has Breath of the Wild on it and Tears of the Kingdom. It has Mario Odyssey. Oh, I think I bumped the mic there. Whoops. It's got, that huge collection of kind of 7th generation console games basically already on it. I just don't really see, at least for me, a decent reason to buy this thing. I am kind of intrigued and kind of impressed by what seems to be a push to make a very kind of seamless and intuitive online system, right? They're kind of doing like their own kind of Discord, which they already kind of tried to do. I think, if I remember correctly, there was like, oh yeah, we've got like our phone app, but it wasn't really like integrated, and it was kind of a mess. And so it's kind of nice to see them doing that here. But to be honest, I don't really play that many games online anyway. What I'm hoping for is that they make it so that, oh yeah, you can jump in, you can start talking with some people that you're playing with, and jump out, right? Kind of, basically just what kind of Xbox Live was. So yeah, pre-order is open tonight. So I might add a little bit to this video tomorrow to see what the pre-order numbers look like. I'm expecting that it's going to be basically maxed out the first night of pre-orders. I don't think we're going to be able to make much really solid speculation on how this console is going to perform in its first couple years until we actually have like a solid couple of months of pre-order information. The only thing that I can say at this point is that, in the circles that I inhabit, there is a decent amount of buzz for it. I'm in my mid-20s now. I don't care about this kind of stuff as much anymore. That could definitely be part of it. But also, I think that when the first Switch came out, it was such a big deal because they were able to nail a concept down that a lot of people wanted for a long time and had never really been done before properly. The idea of it, you can lock it into your TV and you can jeez, shut up, Wired. You can lock it in, you can snap it to your TV, you can also use it as a portable system, and it can play console level games with really good graphics, and it's only $300. If, like, let's say that you want to play video games, you're kind of into it, but you don't want to buy all these different consoles and deal with all this different stuff. It's like, well, you can buy the Switch. It has basically every kind of game, maybe not the best kind of every kind of game, but it has all the Nintendo games and and a huge backlog of other stuff that's been made available on it. It really is the kind of perfect all-around console. And the Switch 2, it's basically just the continuation of it. It's not really anything new. Nintendo is kind of they're in kind of a stressful position right now, right? Because by announcing this and releasing this, they already have a console, the Switch, which is selling extremely well, and now they're going to put something out that makes people not want to buy that because there's this new version and people may not even really want it, right? So it is kind of a little bit of a risky move. Ultimately, I don't think Nintendo had much of a choice. They kind of needed to stick with the Switch because of how good of a product the Switch is, and I don't even know what Nintendo would do outside of that, right? Even if they made a new console that was completely different, they would probably still call it some kind of Switch because that's like what people know, right? I don't think this is going to be like another Wii U branding disaster. Like, it's pretty clear that this is the second version. I think people are used to PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. So ultimately, I'll close out with like 3 points. Point number 1, and this is something that I've already kind of mentioned, there aren't really that many things that I think make the Switch 2 a must-have when it comes to what you can play on it and what you can do. I think the Switch kind of has that covered already. Because there is this new version out, it will likely shift people to buy the new version as opposed to the Switch. But because of that, there's an extremely strong buyer's market for the original Switch and its games. Point number 2 is that I think that the console will start to have more appeal and start to get into kind of a smoother, kind of consistent number of sales once some new titles that really can only be run on the Switch 2 start to come out on it. These need to be kind of numerous enough to kind of make it worth it to upgrade from the original Switch. You know, I think the people like me that already have this original or the first version of the Switch, it's going to take some time, you know, outside of the hardcore Nintendo fans that are going to buy this no matter what. People like me are going to need some convincing to actually make the switch from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. Point number 3, like let's say you have kids and you don't have a Switch and they want one for Christmas. I would highly recommend trying to get the Switch 2. If you're unable to get the Switch 2 and you can afford to get a Switch 1 and maybe are willing next year to actually go and buy the Switch 2 as a replacement, that's probably fine. But I would highly recommend, getting the Switch 2 if you can. It's kind of a messed up situation, but you kind of don't want to be in a situation where, your kids are kind of stuck with, the Switch 1 when, a decent amount of like their friends like have a Switch 2, because then they're not going to be able to do like the same kind of online features, right? Also, they're not going to be able to play like the new Mario Kart, right? Or if for whatever reason some new title comes out on it within like the next year or so, they're going to be locked out of that too. Probably not that big of a deal, but if you're looking to get your family a Switch and you don't have one already, definitely try to get the Switch 2 if you can. Most of my conflict in whether or not to buy this thing is coming from, if you already have a Switch 1 and don't really care about a lot of the stuff that's coming out immediately at launch. Ultimately, I think the Switch 2 is the better investment just overall. But at the same time, it is also a really good time to buy a Switch 1 right now if you're not able to get the Switch 2. Okay, I think that wraps this one up. See ya.